world and welcome back, or welcome if you're new. I am actually here in March to bring you my March setup. I am so proud of myself. Before we get into that setup, I'm going to do a quick flip through of February. If you'd like to see a video of my February setup that went up on my channel like last week or something, you can go check it out. It will be linked in the description. And let's get to that February flip through, shall we? My theme for February was Dungeons and Dragons. So shout out to all the tabletop RPG nerds out there. I had this scrapbooking paper that's like a map, which fit perfectly, and then just some printouts from the internet for collage purposes. This was my month at a glance, I guess. Didn't have a whole lot going on in February, which is not terribly surprising. This is my milestone tracking for my kid. The biggest milestone in February was tracking the foods that my kid doesn't like. For anyone who doesn't have experience raising a baby, around 6 months you start giving them solid foods like cereal and baby foods. My kid is apparently a picky eater, and the only thing that they will eat reliably is mac and cheese baby food. This is my life, I guess. So this is what the milestone setup looks like filled in. This is my tracker, you can see filled in. I actually didn't use this as much as I wanted to. You see there's a lot of blank in here, and that's partly not doing my stuff that I wanted to do, and partly not really using this tracker very much. I mentioned, I think, that I've been using this setup since October, and a problem that I have is once I've realized that I've gotten sort of settled into a routine, it stops being helpful for me. So I have changed this up pretty significantly for March, and we'll talk a little bit more about those changes once we get to that section of the video. This is my sleep and mood tracker, and this is the editorial calendar. Talked at length about this colossal failure in my February setup. You can see I didn't use this at all. I have not included this in my March setup. And that gets us into my weeklies. This is the first week of February, which this setup was included in my video. I mostly used this space to swatch the new washi tapes that I got. Yeah, I liked this setup, but I didn't love it super much, so I decided to do something different for the rest of the month, starting with week 2, where I did a Druid Ranger theme with some pictures from the internet and some stickers and some of the new washis that I got, and I absolutely love this, which is a little funny because I have never played a Druid in my life. I have no interest in playing a Druid ever, and I've only played a Ranger once, and it was my first time playing ever, and I had picked up an NPC in a long-running campaign. That's my only experience with a Ranger, and I have no plans to play a Ranger again either, because these are just not classes I'm super interested in. But overall, I love the spread, this collaging, it just worked out well. So for week 3, I did something similar. I did a Paladin Cleric spread. Paladins and Clerics are my two favorite classes. I chose Sunflowers because I am actually currently playing a paladin who's like inspired by sunflowers. It's actually this quote that I've got up here, which is a super cheesy, cringy Pinterest quote that is, "I want to be like a sunflower, so even on the darkest days, I will stand tall and find the light." Which on its own is like, oh, that's inspirational and nice, but like super cringy and cheesy. But as a paladin inspiration, that is boss, and like the entire reason that I love paladins. Honestly, I love playing paladins so much. The only thing I don't like about this spread is I used the same colors from my overall monthly setup, and I don't feel that they go very well with the rest of the theme. So this feels kind of discordant to the rest of what I've got going on. So for the final week of February, I abandoned my theme colors and just went with whatever went with the imagery that I had. And this is, of course, a rogue barbarian theme. I played a decent number of rogues in my life. I've never played a barbarian. Well, is that true? It's complicated. Anyway, I know that these don't like necessarily go together, but I liked the way that the imagery looked together, so that was why I did that. And you can see I used red highlights and a little bit of gray instead of my other theme colors, and I love how this turned out. And that is the last spread I have for February, so I'm just gonna jump cut you on over to the voiceover, and I'll talk to you guys later. To expand a little bit on what I was saying in talking about my tracker in February, I have this problem where once I've noticed that I'm like in a routine, I start to feel like I'm stuck in a rut and it stops being helpful. Even if it was extremely helpful before, once I've noticed I'm doing the same thing over and over again, it stops being helpful. I don't know if that's just me, maybe that's other people too, but because of that, I've radically changed all of my setup for March just to give me something fresh and different and sort of keep that planning momentum alive. It's something that I routinely need to do, is just change up what I'm doing, even if what I have been doing is really helpful, simply because it isn't gonna stay helpful to just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again for me. So my first 2 pages for March here, as you can see, are pretty different from my setup for February and January. These are heavily inspired by TBH Studying, which feels really weird to say because she's an amazing YouTuber and bullet journaler, but is also in high school, and I am a mom in my 30s, so it feels really weird to be drawing inspiration from her, but there you have it. So I've got a very open layout for my calendar. I'm not using a quote this month. I've got a section for goals because I would like to be focusing on the goals I've set for 2019, and I have a check-in with myself planned at the end of the month to sort of see where I am in this first quarter. While I'm also still keeping the same layout for my appointments and reminders, I'm splitting that page in half, as you can see, and doing 1 line a day. I find that in my weekly setups, I usually like to write 1 short sentence about how my day went or what I did that day, and I'd like to do that more intentionally, and I have sort of an overview of what my month was like. And here I'm going in with my mild liners to do some minimal coloring in of stuff. The other motivation for this setup was a desire to use my mild liners because while I do use them, I want to use them more. They're so pretty and they feel like spring, but also got that winterness in them. I don't know, I just feeling the mild liners right now. So that's part of where this setup came from. Oh my gosh, and I haven't even mentioned, as you can probably tell, my theme this month is tea. I can't believe I didn't mention that before. I'm a little surprised that I haven't done this sort of theme before because I am a big tea drinker, but I haven't, so we're doing that this month. It's honestly really minimal, as you can see, just like some doodles and some collaging that are vaguely inspired by that, and it's mostly just keeping with the feeling that I want to have in the setup. Now, I am not a person who is personally into super minimalist setups. They can be quite beautiful, but they're not my preference for my own planning. But I was feeling throughout February that I had all of these pages in my monthly setup that I just wasn't using, and they were taking up space and felt like a waste of paper and all of this stuff. So I've done a lot to minimize the space I've used from my monthly setup and change things up, again, like I said, to keep it really useful for me and really engaging for me. So you can see with my milestones tracker for my kid, I've changed the setup a little bit. I'm moving the habits that I track for stuff for my kid, like their vitamins and have they had a bath, into this spread. And you'll see in a minute or two, I've radically changed the trackers page. This is also my first time using these little mini calendars for a tracker. I've always shied away from those because writing out a million tiny numbers is such a pain, but I really like how it looks and it makes this spread really sort of engaging for me. I feel like I'm going to use that word a lot in this video. Apologies, but that's where I am with my life. Okay, now we're diving into the updated tracker page. This is a 2-page spread, and I have consolidated my habits, my sleep, and my moods into one spread. This is something that I've been thinking about for a while now. I've really wanted to have all of these things in like a 2-page spread so I can see everything at the same time. That's something that's always really useful for me, but I haven't really found a good way to do it. And I accomplished it in March by really paring down the habits that I was tracking, and I don't know, you'll see as it comes together, but I think I've done it, and so far in March, this has been great for me. I've got one place to go every day to like fill things in, and it's feeling both really motivating and really helpful to see everything all at once in one spread. And I'm doing some little tea bags to fill in for my mood tracker, which is so cute. For the habits, like I said, I'm paring this down significantly. I'm focusing only on the things that I'm not necessarily doing every day, that I want to really focus on, be intentional about, and really incorporate into a daily routine, or something that I'm thinking about daily and trying to do on a daily basis. What my previous habit tracker really was a way to stay motivated by having all of these things that I kind of did anyway, or just having like a ton of things, so I had a lot of opportunities to go and fill that in. Whereas what I'm feeling a need for now is a little bit more focus and intention on what I'm trying to do. Visually, I really like how this spread came together. Like I said, I'm enjoying filling it in so far, and I'm hopeful that this is going to be helpful for me. And that's everything for my monthly setup. Now getting into my first weekly for March. Like I said, keeping things really simple and streamlined. Obviously not minimalist, but pretty minimalist for me. This setup is definitely drawn from what I was doing at the end of February with the Rogue Barbarian theme. I just really liked how that setup looked in terms of the arrangement of days and the space and all that stuff. And I'm also incorporating a quote here from Avatar: The Last Airbender, because when I think of tea, I always think of Uncle Iroh, and the quote says, "Sometimes life is like this dark tunnel. You can't always see the light at the end of the tunnel, but if you keep moving, you will come to a better place." Which is beautiful and motivating, and while it's obviously not directly related to tea, I associate Iroh with tea always, and Avatar: Last Airbender is one of my favorite shows, so keeping that nerdy business included. And this is my setup for March. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm excited to show you guys how the weeklies came together, and that's everything that I've got for you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and until next time.